Hi, this is Timothy Zahn, author of Thrawn, and you're listening to Star Wars Reactions. Good for you.
There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
In 1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All of it.
One of resistance.
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
Rebellion.
Rebellion is built on hope.
And redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
Well, hello everybody and welcome. Welcome back to Star Wars Reactions. You're probably going, what, already? Well, you're right. This will be, 3 episodes in a week right now? It's crazy, huh? Well, why am I going all Southern? Anyway, it shows you what kind of week it's been. Let's get everything going. My name is Aaron Harris. I am one of your hosts here at Star Wars Reaction, and joining me, he is the... how are we going to do this? I guess this is a Carabas moment. He's the Ezra to my, actually, you'd be more like the Zeb to my Ezra.
Yeah.
Zeb to my Ezra. The incredible David Motters. David, what's up, brother?
Oh my gosh. Well, we're off and running here. Like you said, we had to catch up with the 2 previous Bad Batch episodes, and we did that, and now we're here doing Metamorphosis. We're ready to react and looking forward to covering this. This one is a real fun one, real enjoyable, so I can't wait to cover it with you, buddy.
Oh, neither can I. This is a fun episode to cover. I'm so excited. And as a reminder, we are in March. And we now have the Bad Batch and the Mandalorian to do. So you will have another episode being released shortly after this one. This one, of course, being released on Friday the 3rd, and then, of course, you'll have our review of the Mandalorian coming out on Monday the 6th. So you'll have those bookending the weekend for you. So it gives you something to kick off your week with. So, but for now, let's talk the Bad Batch. This week's episode, entitled Metamorphosis, was released, like I said, on March 1st of 2023, directed by Saul Ruiz, written by Sabir Pirzada. It's a new one. I haven't seen that name in the credits for, I don't think I've seen that name in the credits for any of these shows before. So anyway, Metamorphosis, after escaping the being stranded on the planet in the last episode, the Bad Batch take a job quite reluctantly from Sid, who kind of left them stranded on the planet to begin with. Things, of course, turned disastrous when they realized that the ship that they were sent to salvage is a downed Imperial research ship with Kamanoian cloning technology on board, and the mysterious cargo, it's a stinking Zillo Beast. Never thought I'd say that name again in an episode of Star Wars, but I just did. It's a Zillo Beast. The team, of course, then needs to try to rescue the local population since they accidentally released the Zillo Beast into the wild. Things go from bad to worse as the Empire shows up and runs them off just so they can capture said Zillo Beast and steal away the population who just witnessed the return of the Zillo Beast. Right? Well, David, what were your initial reactions when you first saw Metamorphosis?
Oh my gosh, it just infinitely better than Retrieval last week. This was very much a welcome change from last week's episode. I was into this thing from the start. As soon as that ship came out of hyperspace and smoke's coming out of it, lights are flashing, I had serious alien vibes, from the opening scene with that clone commando running through the damaged ship. That was so cool. Of course, enjoyed seeing a Zillo Beast, right? Another Zillo Beast. And the scene of it growing by eating electricity several times, love that. The scene where the Zillo Beast is actually on top of the power station, eating electricity, the Marauder flying by, and then all of a sudden the Empire arrives, sending out those V-Wings and all that stuff. So cool. I'll tell you, when these episodes are tied to the larger story of Star Wars, it's excellent. So those are just some of my initial thoughts. I didn't even, we'll talk about some of the characters we're introduced to and stuff like that, but just really, really enjoyed this. In fact, I was watching it just before jumping back on with you here. So.
Well, I don't blame you, because it was a good episode. I thought it was actually a fantastic episode. Definitely a step up from Retrieval last week. I thought the storytelling was excellent. Voice acting was incredible. Animation was on point. And of course, the shock of it being the Zillo Beast was absolutely awesome. Awesome nod to the Clone Wars. I will admit, when it first appeared on screen, I thought it was just a genetically modified blurg. And then as it started growing, I'm like, wow, this thing is getting huge. And then it hit me, that's a stinking Zillo Beast. Oh, awesome. I thought it was great. I really, really enjoyed the episode. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and jump into our talking points. Of course, we are got the Zillo Beast that's trapped on the planet, but some of the story actually takes place on a place that we saw at the end of season 1, Mount Tantus, which of course goes back to the Timothy Zahn Legends, Heir to the Empire trilogy, when it was first created, then of course became canon at the end of season 1 of Bad Batch. And there we meet Dr. Royce Hemlock, who apparently is the baddie bad doc in charge of Tannis and their cloning project. Give me your thoughts on Hemlock, which of course his name says it all.
Exactly. Yeah. Hemlock, right? Death, or, we'll bring death. I was curious if you were, when you mentioned voice acting, if you were thinking about him, because the voice actor who portrays Dr. Hemlock does such a deliciously evil, kind of quieter take when he's talking to Nala Se. I really liked this baddie. Completely thought about the lackeys, the baddies underneath Hitler, and because here he is wanting to do this stuff for the Emperor, and so he real neat addition, and I thought it was pretty cool that he requested Lama Su to be brought to him, so he can interrogate him as well. So he ends up with both of them on Tantus there. So, but really neat character. What do you think about this guy?
I thought it was a very unique character to bring in. He had a very much a feel of was it Dr. Wu from Jurassic Park, and of course the Jurassic World trilogy, the one that was splicing all the genes together. I thought he had a very similar demeanor, that calm, reserved, quiet. I know my stuff. Let me do my work type of feel to him. But he also large and in charge. And Hemlock was actually voiced by Jimmy Simpson, which is a name I don't actually recognize. I'll have to look them up later and see if what else they've done. But it was a very unique character, and not who I expected to see running the stuff at Tanis. I know I remember a few episodes ago I predicted we'd end up seeing Rampart back at Tanis, being the military kind of overlord of this secret operation, which I still think he'll show up at some point there, but he's not there yet.
Yeah.
But it was a very unique doctor, and of course he's got Dr. Scalder there as well, who's there, and they apparently are attempting to control the whole cloning operation and clone a Zillo Beast, which was something that Palpatine wanted to do back when the creature was introduced in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. For not only for blaster fire, but I remember Palpatine's response when lightsabers, I don't think, right? They couldn't penetrate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They couldn't, which made it a very unique creature to study, which is why Palpatine was so interested in it at that point during the Clone Wars, which doesn't surprise me that he's still doing the research as Emperor of the of the Empire.
Yeah.
So, but the whole operation is quite unique because they're keeping it very secret, and it has me curious because it crash landed on board this. It was on this transport ship, which crash landed. Well, I wonder where they were transferring it from to get it to Tanis.
Right. Yeah. Because the other ship made it there to Tantus. And this one didn't.
Makes you wonder what was on the other ship too.
Right. Yeah, the other ship. And I'm trying to remember. I meant to go to Jason Fry's Clone Wars episode guide to see. I thought it was on the Doug planet, right? Doug's DUG, that they had that thing that came out of the ground, right? They awoke it.
Correct.
And
they awoke it by accident. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe from that planet. Maybe not.
Yeah, could be, but remember it got it. The Zillo Beast was originally captured there, but then it was taken to Coruscant.
Right.
And of course got loose on Coruscant, which wreaked havoc there in the capital, but then of course was sedated and recaptured, and we don't know really what happened to it from there. We just know it was gone.
Yeah.
Story over.
Yeah. Tech referred to it. He referred to one of these beasts got loose during the Clone Wars.
Yeah, loose on Coruscant during the war. I loved that reference to let you know you've seen this before. And the whole episode too, especially when the Empire finally shows up, and they have the drop ships coming in, and just the way they were circling the Zillo Beast, very reminiscent of that episode with the drop ships and the tanks circling it and attacking it, and it was just almost a very good recreation of those events from the Clone Wars.
Agreed. I love it. It like I mentioned in my initial reactions, it's just tied to the lore, tied to Emperor Palpatine, tied to cloning, to Poca City, Kamino. It was cool to hear Omega talk about how Nala Se kept some of this type of cloning stuff away from her, and her understanding was probably a lot of this was being done off planet, where it's probably just the clones, on Kamino. So that was really neat to see, and even how she talked about how the cloning medical equipment on that ship was different than what was on Kamino, and clearly we know why, because of the type of animal, type of beast they're dealing with, compared to cloning of the clones, the human
Mhm.
clones. But yeah, all very cool. It was just a great episode, start to finish. Kept me enthralled, and I loved, just enough exposition, right?
Mhm.
To keep you going and filling in the pieces. And yeah, it was cool to see Nala say in there, and then even learning that Lama Su was on course. And I was trying to remember at the end of season 1. Of course, you and I covered Camino Lost, right? And I was trying to remember, do they show Rampart taking Lama Su? I would have to watch the 2-part season finale again. Did we know Lama Su was on Coruscant?
I honestly, I don't remember, and I've been racking my brain about that, and if unfortunately I just didn't have time to go back today and rewatch the end to see if we knew they were there. But Nala Su being there just really changed the ball game, because then of course we see Lama Su as well in this episode, who's of course being held captive there at Tanis, who they're wanting to help them run the cloning operation there and help
Right.
them with the stolen basically technology from the Kamanoians, but she's refusing.
Yeah.
And I really like it too, where she really just kind of puts it out there. He's like, it's really hard when you have all this technology from another civilization that you can't operate, and the one person who can help you doesn't want to help you.
Yeah. Well, that's what
very
Lama
blunt
Su.
with it.
Yeah, Lama Su says that to Hemlock, Dr. Hemlock, and he says to Lama Su, we can make a deal here and make this easier, and that's when he spills the beans, right? Lama Su spills the beans about a female unaltered clone, and you're like, uh-oh, it's about to hit the fan now.
Yep. Yep.
That was cool.
We see that basically them setting up the direction of the rest of the season, because now you're going to have this Imperial force. You're going to have they're going to send these commando clone commandos out after Omega and now it's going to be the Bad Batch versus the clone commandos. And I really have to believe that at some point Gregor's going to show up. Okay, and honestly, to be perfectly honest, the clone that at the beginning, that the lone clone commando on board that ship that was basically running and fighting for their life on there, I was willing to put money down that was Gregor.
Oh, okay.
Because you remember, by the time we see him in Clone War or in Rebels, he's got a few screws loose.
Exactly.
And what would be a trigger for that? Something
traumatic.
Like this. Something extremely traumatic like this.
Yeah.
So I was willing to throw money on the table that was Gregor. But of course we're led to believe that clone commando didn't make it.
Oh, I don't think so. No.
So, especially since they found the electro staff on the ground when they boarded the ship, when Wrecker and them boarded the ship.
Yeah.
Wrecker thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Oh yeah, I know. You didn't get access to those all the time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's going to be, it was interesting to see and fun to see how this played out. And I really want to see where this is going to go, because they've laid out foundation that can really build into a very exciting final sprint of the season very easily.
Yeah.
Because we now have the conflict with Sid. We have now these clone commandos are going to be after them. We have them looking for home and meeting. And now you have the cloning operation being investigated by Rex and Echo. And all this is going to tie in, and it's going to have to bring in Crosshair back soon, because we have not seen Crosshair since that third episode.
Right, I agree with you. They're setting the stage here, and I'm looking forward to this. I'm feeling much better after this episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good run. Absolutely, I have no doubt about that. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, anything else from uh, Metamorphosis you want to hit on?
I think just the only other thing is because you and I were talking about Clone Commandos. This guy Scorch,
From the game? Yep.
right? He looks imposing, and I feel that he's going to, like you mentioned, in a firefighter battle um, between Clone Force 99 and these guys. I could see him and Hunter battling it out in a knockdown drag out, man. So I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there. So he was pretty quiet in this episode, but he just looks very imposing, very intimidating, and I like this. I like how this is lining up, my brother.
Oh, so do I. It's going to be a fantastic episode. I mean, what was one of the things I really liked? I'll say as we're about to go into our final thoughts, and I'll go ahead and kick mine off with our final reactions. Is one thing I liked about this episode, especially coming off the crossing, and which I enjoyed, and retrieval, which I struggled with, is this episode. It was simple, it was action packed, and it was dramatic, and we needed that as a pickup after retrieval, and I'm so glad we got it. I thought it was an incredible episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said earlier, I love the fact that we brought back the Zillo Beast. And got to see it just being just as much of a menace as it was when we saw it in the Clone Wars. I love how they're building up to some big encounter, because that's going to center around Tanis. I can feel it in my bones. I see it happening. The build is coming. They want Omega because they need Omega to control Lamasu. It's going to be fantastic. Fantastic. So, all right. How about your final reactions, David? What were your final thoughts on Metamorphosis?
Yeah, just to piggyback off you, I mean, I like I said, I mentioned it in my initial reaction. This show is excellent, when it's tied to that larger story in the mythology of Star Wars. When the episodes are not tied to it, the Bad Batch feels more truly like a lot of podcasts have said this. It feels like the A-Team in space, and it's just the Sid job of the week, right? Just, what does she go out and do? But again, I'll take 8 episodes like these, like this one. You'd mentioned Crosshair, that episode with him and Cody. I'll take that. The 2 that we had, and we mentioned them. Clone Conspiracy and Truth and Consequences, those I thoroughly enjoy those, and I'll take 8 of those instead of 16 with some of these other episodes interspersed. I just would rather have that 8 of these versus 16. It makes it more efficient to cover. It's just a tighter, cleaner story, and we just feel better about it. But I was really, really happy with this episode. And like I said, I was watching it again. I was trying to get it in again for a second time before we got on, but got to the point right as the Empire's getting there to release all their military equipment to get the Zillo Beast. Just awesome. So, yeah. So those are just some of my final thoughts. Really enjoyed it and very, very impressed.
Very good. Very good. Very good. And of course, we want to hear from you and find out what you think of Metamorphosis. You can always let us know what you think. Before we tell you where to let us know, though, I guess we need to do our grades, don't we, David?
I know. I should have done it right after my final thoughts. Yeah.
Getting ahead of myself there. Of course, we do grade out everything we review, just like if you were in school and you were getting grades, A, B, C, D, or F. And with this episode, I David, I gave it an A-.
Yeah, I did the same. I can see some A episodes coming up. You're anticipating it. I'm anticipating it. Between Clone Commandos or Clone Force 99, I definitely anticipate those, and perhaps maybe an A+ or two as we get towards the end. But very solid. I didn't think it was a B or B+. I think A-, and I think that fit perfectly.
Very good. Very good. Now you can let us know what you think of Metamorphosis and of this season of The Bad Batch. Of course, you can hit us up on any of our social media, Facebook and Twitter at SW Reactions Pod, or of course, Instagram and Pinterest, and of course on Tumblr, where you can find our show notes at SW Reactions, or feel free to email us anytime, any day, from anywhere in the world. The email address is swreactions@gmail.com. So, of course, normally, if this was a normal episode, we would have, well, this is pretty much a normal episode, but you would normally get a psychology corner. As we announced in our last episode, we are splitting those up because we're going to be doing 2 episodes a week, one for Bad Batch, one for Mando. And the psychology corner will be attached to the Mandalorian episode. So don't fear, it's coming. It'll be on the next episode. But this episode, anytime you get a Bad Batch review, you are going to get the wonderfully included Star Wars Dad Joke of the Week, which we are going to be sharing momentarily. I got to let David just revel in the mystery of the Dad Joke of the Week. And while he's doing that and reveling, I'm going to let you know, if you do want to talk Star Wars with me personally, the best place to do that is Twitter at TAHarris121079. And David, if somebody wants to talk Star Wars with you or sympathize with you over my dad jokes, how would they go about doing that?
Absolutely. Same as used on Twitter. Definitely can use that. That's at David_Modders, MODDERS, or Instagram. That's just simply look up my name, David Modders. And those are the 2 spots.
Very good. Very good. Well, David, the anticipation getting to you?
I'm taking deep breaths.
Deep breaths. Here we go. This week's Dad Joke of the Week. Who are the best smelling soldiers in the Star Wars saga?
Oh, no. I don't know. Who are the best smelling soldiers in the Star Wars saga?
Cologne troopers.
Oh. Wow, is that a dad joke?
Cologne troopers.
Wow. That's actually pretty good. That's sharp. I like that. I actually like that. Maybe we're not going to lose listeners tonight.
Well, we will now because, their scientific name is Ude Rex.
Oh, my God.
Actually, it'd be more like Ude Django.
Oh, my God. Okay, now we lost listeners. You couldn't stop with a semi-decent dad joke and not lose any listeners, but you had to go to the next one.
Of course. You know me. It's not a dad joke unless I can keep it going.
Oh, my gosh. Well done, my friend.
You know what makes these jokes dad jokes, right?
What?
Figured it'd be a parent.
I figured it'd be... Oh my God, where are you getting this stuff? You are just, oh my God, man. That is so bad. It's kind of good. Oh. Wow.
Oh, Lord help us. Well, David, you survived.
I did. I'm back to enduring it. All the co-hosts, I'm wishing they were back and I was not enduring this. No, I'm very thankful I'm back. Thankful to be enduring it so that everyone else can enjoy it. And just glad to be recording, and especially with a really, really fun episode like this one tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, David, it's been a blast. Thank you, everybody, for paying attention and listening in to another episode of Star Wars Reactions. We appreciate each and every one of you. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to somebody. Make the world a better place. I could break into a song, but I'm not going to. But make the world a better place. Just change the world with a smile. You believe it or not, you can do that. So remember, this is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
If you'd like to share your thoughts, you can email us at show@starwarsreactions.com for our show notes and the latest news from the Star Wars universe. Visit our website at www.starwarsreactions.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWReactionsPod or on Facebook at Star Wars Reactions. If you enjoy our show, please leave a review on iTunes. This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and the respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.